Two broken people, one television show, and a love story that millions believed would last forever. But behind the red carpet smiles and the perfect Instagram posts, something was quietly falling apart between them. Blake stopped laughing the way he used to. Gwen stopped sleeping through the night, and Kelly Clarkson watched it all happening from the next chair over, knowing exactly where this whole thing was headed. Then came that night in Oklahoma that nobody saw coming at all. The argument neighbors heard echoing through the darkness across those empty fields. The hospital admission nobody was expecting. And a voice memo so raw and so broken it made the entire internet hold its breath waiting for answers.
You're calling about the car I sold it.
3 words whispered in a dark hospital room would change absolutely everything between them. But first, you really need to understand how they got here in the first place. And trust me when I say this, it's not the story you think you know. But here's the thing, nobody actually knew yet at that point. A 92-second voice memo was about to leak online for the whole world to hear. And what Blake said in that recording would make millions of fans start questioning literally everything they ever thought they knew about this couple. We're definitely going to get to exactly what he said in there. But first, you really need to understand how two completely broken people somehow found each other in the first place, and how their fairy tale slowly started cracking apart from the inside out. Okay, so picture this with me for a second. It's 2015 and The Voice is basically the biggest show on television right now. Blake Shelton is sitting in that famous red spinning chair, cracking jokes left and right, charming all of America with that slow Oklahoma drawl of his. But behind all those laughs and that big country boy smile, this man was quietly falling apart inside where nobody could see. His divorce had just gone super public and real messy too. The tabloids were being absolutely brutal about the whole thing. Every single magazine cover had his face plastered across it with some new horrible headline attached to his name. He honestly looked like someone who was just trying to survive each day without completely losing his mind in front of everyone watching. Sat down in a seat in the sky and stared and everything changed. Gwen Stefani, the California pop queen herself with that platinum blonde hair and a smile that could literally light up entire stadiums full of people. But here's what most folks watching at home didn't realize at all about her situation. Behind that gorgeous smile was a woman who was also completely falling apart inside just like him. Her marriage had just ended in ways she absolutely never saw coming in a million years. And, get this part of the story, she had literally never even heard of Blake Shelton before joining the show. One of the biggest country music stars in all of America, and she had zero clue who this guy even was. Can you even imagine something like that happening in real life? Their first meeting on set wasn't some magical Hollywood love at first sight moment or anything like that. Nope. It was actually pretty awkward and weird if we're being totally honest about the whole thing. Two broken people just sitting in those big spinning chairs, supposed to be judging other people's singing talent, while their own personal lives were basically crumbling all around them behind the scenes. But something kinda started happening during those really long filming days spent together on set. They began actually talking to each other. Like really genuinely talking, you know what I mean? Not that fake celebrity small talk people do when cameras are rolling on them. The kind of deep, real conversations where you completely forget anyone else is even in the room with you. So far. Blake said later in this one interview that Gwen kept him from going to the absolute bottom of his darkness during that time. Those were literally his exact words he used to describe it. She saved him from a darkness he honestly wasn't sure he could ever escape from on his own without her help. And Gwen? She straight up said Blake saved her life too. Two people who were basically drowning separately somehow managed to find each other right smack in the middle of their personal storms. Now here's where things start getting really interesting. If you ask me about this whole story, the whole entire world fell in love with them as a couple. Not just as individual music artists doing their own thing, but as an actual real-life couple together. Their chemistry on The Voice became must-see television for millions of viewers tuning in every single week. Fans would literally tune in every week just to watch these two flirt with each other on screen. All that playful teasing going back and forth between them constantly. The stolen little glances when they thought nobody was watching them interact. The way Blake would make Gwen laugh so hard she couldn't even breathe properly anymore. It all felt so genuine and real to everyone watching. Because honestly, it actually was real between them.
God gave me you for the ups and downs.
But fame has this really sneaky way of turning beautiful, genuine things into products that you can sell to people for profit. TV producers looked at their love story unfolding and just saw dollar signs floating everywhere around them. Magazines wanted exclusive interviews with them constantly about their relationship. Music networks kept pushing hard for romantic duets they could release together. Their relationship slowly stopped being something special that just belonged to the two of them privately. It became a whole entire brand for people to consume and obsess over. And that's exactly when those little cracks started forming between them. Quietly. But wait a second here. I haven't even told you about what happened during that rehearsal yet. The moment that pretty much changed everything between these two people forever going forward. They were filming another season of The Voice at this point in time. By now, Blake and Gwen weren't just judges sitting on the show anymore doing their jobs. They had basically become the heartbeat of the entire thing at that point. Ratings would spike up big time whenever they shared any screen time together on camera. The network executives knew it was happening. All the producers knew it was true. Literally everyone involved with the show knew it was real. So, naturally, there was this massive pressure building up constantly to keep delivering that same magic over and over again every single week for audiences. According to people who were actually standing in the room that particular day watching, Blake and Gwen got into this disagreement about some creative direction stuff for the show they were working on. What started out as just a small little difference of opinion between them somehow escalated pretty quickly into something that nobody standing there was expecting to happen at all. Crew members working there that day said the whole room went completely dead silent around them. These two people who normally couldn't stop laughing and joking around each other constantly were suddenly talking in these tones that made everyone standing there feel super uncomfortable to witness. They actually had to stop filming for a while that day. Both of them stepped away from each other to cool down for a bit before continuing. Nobody really knows the exact words that got exchanged between them that day on set. But somebody who was standing there watching described the whole thing like watching two people who clearly loved each other so deeply, but were somehow speaking completely different languages to one another in that moment. And isn't that just the thing about love though when you really think about it? Caring about someone real deep doesn't automatically mean you actually understand them at all. See, the disagreement between them wasn't really about jealousy or anything petty like that. It definitely wasn't about some other person getting between them romantically or causing problems. It was actually about who they were at their very core as human beings with different needs. Gwen Stefani had built her entire career on constantly reinventing herself over and over again through the years. The girl from No Doubt had transformed herself over and over again through all those decades spent in the spotlight performing. She absolutely thrived on change and pushing boundaries and staying relevant in an industry that straight up forgets artists overnight, without even caring about their legacy.
What doesn't kill you makes you stronger. Stand on it.
Blake was pretty much the complete opposite of all that though in every way. He found his peace in routine and predictability and simple quiet living away from the chaos. In his ranch out in the quiet country where nobody bothered him. In those dirt roads of Oklahoma that reminded him exactly who he was before fame went and complicated every single thing in his life. He didn't really want to change himself for anyone at all. He just wanted to stay authentic to the country boy he had always been deep down inside his heart. What used to balance them out so perfectly together as a couple was now slowly starting to divide them apart from each other. Close friends around them started noticing all these little things happening between them over time. Gwen was spending way more of her time out in Los Angeles, throwing herself completely into music projects and her fashion lines and all kinds of business stuff keeping her busy. Blake kept staying home more and more by himself on the ranch, saying he was just real tired of all the noise out there in the world. They weren't constantly fighting with each other or anything dramatic like that happening. That honestly would have been way easier to fix probably if they had been. Instead, they were just drifting apart real slowly over time, quietly without anyone really noticing at first. Like two boats that started this whole journey right next to each other, but were now floating off toward totally different horizons on the water going their separate ways. Here's something that really makes you stop and think about it though when you consider the situation. Fans out there on the internet actually caught some early signs of trouble brewing between them before any official headlines even broke about the situation publicly. Gwen had stopped liking some of Blake's social media posts all of a sudden without explanation. Seems like such a tiny, small thing, right? But when you're a celebrity couple like them living in the public eye, literally every single like and comment gets analyzed and picked apart by millions of people watching your every move closely. Then Blake went and missed one of her big Las Vegas residency shows. Something he had absolutely never done before in all their years together as a couple supporting each other. The internet definitely noticed that. One real quick when it happened, the internet always notices every little thing about famous people living their lives publicly.
Then it's goodbye time.
But they just kept smiling their way through all those interviews anyway like nothing was wrong. Kept holding hands while walking down all those red carpets together for the cameras watching them. Kept posting all those picture-perfect photos on social media for their fans to admire and comment on. Because that's exactly what fame demands from you when you're living under that spotlight constantly. You gotta perform happiness even when you feel completely hollow and empty inside yourself. You get so good at pretending after a while that sometimes you honestly forget what's even real anymore in your own life. And then came that night out in Oklahoma that changed everything. The night that pretty much changed absolutely everything between them, forever going forward. But first, you really need to understand something important about Kelly Clarkson here before we continue, because her story actually connects to all of this drama unfolding in a way that nobody was really expecting at all. Kelly wasn't just some random colleague they happened to work with on The Voice together over the years. She was somebody who understood exactly what Blake and Gwen were going through in their relationship struggles personally. Her own divorce had been super brutal and painfully public for the whole world to see and gossip about constantly. She had sat in those exact same chairs on set and smiled for those exact same cameras while her personal life was getting dissected and judged by literally millions of strangers online every single day. She knew firsthand just how exhausting it really is to be a love story that everybody else out there feels like they own a piece of. Personally, there's something kind of powerful about people who have been through similar pain somehow finding each other along the way through life. Kelly had watched Blake and Gwen fall in love right there on that show with her own eyes over time. She saw all the real, genuine moments happening behind all the produced fake ones made for cameras. And she probably knew better than anyone else just how exhausting it gets to constantly perform being okay when you're really not inside. Now let me take you back to that Oklahoma night when everything fell apart between them finally. Blake had just finished up this long string of shows he was doing on tour across the country. He was absolutely exhausted from all of it, physically and emotionally. Gwen had been stuck in the studio for weeks straight working on some new music projects, keeping her busy in LA. The plan was supposed to be super simple for them that weekend. Meet up at the ranch together finally. Reconnect away from all the cameras and all the constant noise of their public lives. Just be two normal people in love for once, instead of two celebrities always performing love for audiences watching their every move. But when Gwen finally arrived at the ranch that night, something just felt real different somehow between them. Blake seemed distant and cold in a way she couldn't quite put her finger on or explain properly. They tried having normal conversations together, but all the words felt really forced and awkward between them, like strangers talking. Months worth of all these small resentments and things left unsaid were just hanging real heavy in the air like that thick humidity you feel right before a big storm hits hard. Then Gwen happened to see a message pop up on Blake's phone screen sitting there, and everything between them was about to completely explode into chaos. Let me be super clear about something right off the bat here so there's no confusion. That message Gwen saw on his phone wasn't romantic or flirty or anything sketchy like that at all. It was from some female collaborator that Blake had been working with on a music project together professionally. Just friendly professional stuff, really between colleagues. Personal, sure, in tone. Maybe just a little bit too familiar for Gwen's comfort level though, given everything happening. Especially after spending months and months feeling like she was slowly losing the man she loved to distance growing between them. After all that distance growing between them for so long quietly, that one single message became the match that lit the whole entire fire between them, finally. She confronted him about it right then and there on the spot, demanding answers. What started out as just a normal conversation between them quickly became this huge argument that neither one of them could seem to walk away from, no matter how hard they tried to calm down.
That I'm losing my best friend. I can't.
Neighbors living nearby actually reported later that they heard raised voices echoing through that usually quiet Oklahoma night air around the property. Such a rare sound to hear coming from a couple who was usually known for all their laughter and good times together constantly. People who were close to both of them described the whole scene as completely raw and super emotional to witness happening. Two people who genuinely loved each other so deeply had finally reached an absolute breaking point in their relationship together after all that time. By the next morning, Blake was just gone from the ranch completely. He had checked himself into a local hospital for what his official team publicly called stress-related exhaustion and severe dehydration to explain things. But people who actually saw him there in person said it was clearly so much more than just that simple explanation. He looked completely drained of literally everything inside him emotionally, totally defeated in every way. Like a man carrying this enormous weight around on his shoulders that words alone just couldn't even begin to explain to anyone listening. When news about his hospitalization finally broke out to the public, fans everywhere were completely blindsided by it all happening. The couple who had always symbolized second chances and healed hearts to so many people watching suddenly looked so fragile, so human, so breakable, just like the rest of us regular people. But Here's the part of the story that made the entire internet completely lose its collective mind over this whole situation unfolding. Where the heck was Gwen during all this happening? Photos started surfacing from that exact same weekend showing her at some big fashion event out in Los Angeles, smiling real big for cameras like nothing was wrong, looking absolutely radiant and gorgeous, as always, looking like a woman without a single care or worry in the whole entire world around her. Meanwhile, her husband was supposedly recovering, alone in some Oklahoma hospital about 1,000 miles away from her side completely. The contrast between those two images sitting next to each other online was honestly devastating for people to see and try to process emotionally. Tabloids immediately started running headlines that were just dripping with accusation and harsh judgment directed toward her specifically. "Where is Gwen?" became the question that literally everyone online was asking over and over again, demanding answers. Thousands upon thousands of angry comments kept demanding answers from her directly about the situation. Fans who had celebrated their beautiful love story for years and years now were suddenly questioning Gwen's loyalty to Blake completely, her character as a human being, her actual heart and soul as a person. But here's what the internet didn't actually get to see happening behind all those closed doors, privately. Gwen was completely falling apart on the inside, just like Blake was suffering. Close friends said she literally hadn't slept properly in days at that point from the stress. She was trying so desperately hard to hold herself together, while the entire world seemed to be turning against her all at once from every direction imaginable. That leaked voice memo really did change absolutely everything about this whole situation for everyone involved. 92 seconds of Blake Shelton's voice sounding so tired and fragile and broken just spread across the entire internet like complete wildfire burning. The recording wasn't angry sounding at all. Surprisingly, Blake wasn't yelling or throwing accusations around at anyone in it. His voice was just real quiet throughout the whole entire thing. Almost haunting to listen to, really, for fans. Then late one night, while headlines were still raging everywhere about them, Gwen made a decision finally. Private jet. No team with her. Just a hoodie pulled low and tears streaming down. She landed in Oklahoma and walked into that hospital through a side door quietly. When she stepped into his room finally, Blake looked small lying there, pale and tired. She stood frozen in that doorway for what felt like forever to her, then whispered 3 words. Just 3 simple words. Words carrying every laugh, every fight, every year between them. Blake slowly reached out, took her hand gently in his. It wasn't fireworks or magical healing instantly, but it was honest. The first real moment between them in months of distance.
All the wasted days, all the wasted nights.
Days later, the pastor who married them showed up to visit. After hours of talking together about everything except fame and headlines, he asked Blake one simple question finally. "Can you forgive her?" Blake's voice cracked slightly as he answered slowly. He said he already had forgiven her actually, but the forgetting part, that was going to take much longer to work through on his own.
Piece by piece, he restored my faith.
Something shifted inside Blake after that conversation happened. The anger loosened its grip on him finally. Texts at 2 a.m. turned into phone calls lasting for hours between them again. They started therapy separately at first, then together eventually, doing the hard, ugly work most couples avoid completely because it's painful. There was no movie moment reconciliation happening publicly. No grand romantic gesture for cameras to capture. Just 2 people choosing each other, again, quietly, every single day making that choice together. Their fairy tale cracked wide open for everyone to see. But what's growing in those broken places now might just be stronger than anything they ever had before together. Because real love doesn't live in perfect photos or sold-out stadiums. It lives in the dark, in the mess of real life, in choosing to walk through hell together holding hands anyway. And if they can do that after everything thrown at them, maybe there's hope for the rest of us too.